I have a question about the price and your target price. You say that it's a clear buy because there's 16% upside. That doesn't sound like very much upside to me. At what level would you not recommend a buy? 10%, 9%? Seems quite a low upside to be such a strong buy to me.
Well, we believe that in the current market situation, this is a potential stock, this is a defensive stock, and finding this kind of upside in the sector is for us a buy recommendation, a solid buy recommendation.
So is it fair to say that it's as much based on the limited downside as on the upside?
Certainly.
My first question was going to be how you moved the slides on, but I worked out it was Maria and Eva were doing that. Well done. I think the key one that I wanted to get you on was the Monte Carlo simulation. Maybe you just describe what the assumptions are and how much of a conviction, how much conclusion you can get from that type of analysis.
For Monte Carlo simulation, what we have done is taking into account the most relevant variables for GNF. With these variables, we have done several scenarios that to each of these variables, we have assigned a distribution. The result of these scenarios are, as you've seen in the presentation, the upside. Moreover, we have to say that we have distinguished in between the regulated business and the liberalized business. We assume that for the regulated business, as is it regulated, we don't expect major impact on our target price. So if we look to the liberalized business, we see a potential upside.
Just ask a supplementary, which is the spread in the distribution. Would you regard that as being an attractively narrow spread or a relatively wide spread?
Oh, we believe it's a narrow spread.
Given the countries where the company operates, there seems to be a significant level of country risk and also of potential currency risk. Could you comment on your analysis of country sovereign political risk?
Certainly. We we consider the situation of the countries as stable, as they will have the government in place for more than 1 year ahead, and about the currency risk, we can say that the company states to have a natural hedge, so there shouldn't be too much risk for the company.
In addition, I would say that the main countries where Gas Natural Fenosa operates in Latin America or Brazil, Colombia and Mexico, all of these countries have limited political risk and huge opportunities of growth. So,
furthermore, let me just say one thing referring to this. Actually, the countries, particularly the countries where Natural Fenosa is operating, have been recognized by the World Economic Forum, for instance, just 1 month ago, as a booming place to do business. Besides, they have a strong GDP, gross domestic product growth. Some countries like Panama, Brazil, Colombia, Mexico, above 5, 6, 7%. And actually, what we have experienced, what the world has experienced so far, is an increase in of these local currencies against the euro, for instance, and against the dollar. So, and that's what is expected to keep going on in the future.
Talking about currency risk again, you mentioned there is a natural edge. I didn't quite get why. And you also, could you comment if there is any hedging policy that the company might have?
Regarding the currency risk, we have that the GNF, where, for example, in Latin countries, they are producing in dollars, for example, but they are also investing that dollars in the same countries. So we don't expect, that's why we believe it's a natural hedge.
And actually the company states to have this natural hedge, and as they are now operating to a bigger percentage in the Latin American countries, and they are expanding there a lot, that is certainly plausible.
Could you comment on the environmental concerns about shale gas? You didn't mention that, I don't think, as a risk area.
Well, certainly this is an issue that we would have to take into account in the future. Right now we don't know exactly which could be the risk from the environmental side of the shale gas. Of course, if it's shown that it harms the environment, we may have to review a little bit our recommendation, but as far as we're concerned, this shale gas only represent a huge opportunity of changing the sources product.
And to add to this, there are environmental issues. In the US, they have with the Clean Energy Act, they have lowered those restrictions. In Europe, we still have the problem. Well, if there's a problem, that's the question, but they have still the regulations. So right now it is more an issue in the US, so importing would be the case.
With regards to Latin America, what's the competitive landscape? How many competitors are trying to work in the same market?
In order to answer that question, we're going to have to, just take a look at the main countries they are operating in. For instance, Colombia, which represents about 50% of the total EBITDA from the region. ENF has a 70% market share, and the other company is a state company. There is ample growth because the state company is not doing that well. Gas Natural Fenosa has proved a better expertise in this area. In Mexico, what we have is state companies as well. But in the gas, particularly in the gas distribution, there is ample growth because there isn't much development yet. And lastly, in Brazil, which is the main one, which is one of the main ones because of the importance of Brazil as a whole economy. There is Petrobras and other companies in the state, but Gas Natural Fenosa have been able to create a niche there in distributing gas, liquefied gas particularly. So we expect, there's competition, yes, but the company has proven to be expertise that the local companies doesn't have.
Could you explain what the tariff deficit is?
Basically, in simple terms, it has been driving the Spanish sector for 10 years, and it is the difference because the company has fixed a price, and this price doesn't cover the total cost of distribution and generation. And that's the tariff deficit.
So they make a loss on every unit that they sell?
This is on the distribution. It's on a very particular point of the chain, and still the company is generating profits, even with the tariff deficit.
Can you talk a bit about what the business model is in Kenya and then the growth prospects there?
Yes, about Kenya. Well, the presence of Gas Natural Fenosa in this country is mainly upper mainstream activity, and it's a little part of our enterprise value.
You mentioned that the company is going more into the regulated business. Could you expand more on the consequences thereof, particularly what kind of risk would you have in the regulated business that you don't have in the unregulated business?
Are you asking which are the risks that GNF is facing in its regulated? Well, we don't expect major risk in the regulated business because the government is going to pay. The Spanish government is not going to stop paying, so we don't expect any risk.
In addition, I would say
Thank you
that
very much.